trailer. Wiper blades. Folks, the package has been secured. Boom. Can you see what that is back there? We'll take a closer look at it when we get back to the shop. I think you'll like it. I do. Alright. Still driving. Getting close. Still driving. Alright, here comes the sketchy part. We get to take the big absurd rolling turd on the highway. And she's still doing her fuel starvation in the higher RPM. So if you take it nice and easy on her, she's okay. But if you start working it too hard, she'll lean out and empty the bowl before she'll refill it. And then you're on the side of the road for a few minutes waiting for it to un-vapor lock. So here we go. The minimum on most highways is 45. It's a minimum of 45 on this one with a speed limit of 55, I think. Okay. Minimum 40, maximum 55. We're just gonna get it right there onto the 40. I don't have to go far, but I know if I kick it up to 50, which it'll do 50, I run the risk of vapor locking it. Alright, we're getting closer though. Getting closer. So in case you guessed ditch witch, you would be right. So this is I think this is a 1994 Ditch Witch 1220. One of the original Ditch Witches. This one is from Perry, Oklahoma. The muffler bolts are stripped out. I've got the muffler in the back of the truck though. We could probably tap that. And we're missing some drive belts. But it's a Ditch Witch nonetheless, so I think it's going to work just fine. This is a Honda motor that's on here. And the recoil looks like it's good and weak. So we'll take that and fix that real quick. And then someone has done some repairing on the pull cord, the casing for the pull cord. So we'll take that off, see if we can't work on that. The sticker's gone for the horsepower number, but this is a fairly large Honda engine. If I had to guess, probably somewhere between 8 and 13 horsepower. Yep. Nope. So, said it's not the worst. The auger's got some rust in it. This little capsulator bracket thing that keeps this auger balanced is about gone. That's no big deal. No big deal. This thing should do just fine for the little bit of digging that we need it to do. So, plus, check this out. Have the operator's manual, the whole book, still in the little pocket up here. So I figure even if I have to go maybe to Harbor Freight or something and snag me one of them little Predator motors to make it work, I'll just do that. I like their piece of wood for a pull cord. But the motor does spin, so if it spins, it wins. And we're gonna need to jack it up and get these tires aired up and go from there. So yeah, it's just the first little look at the Ditch Witch. And yep, okay, here's your update. Fuel tank is off, cover's off, air breather's off, pull start cover's off. The recoil spring was broken and there's not really enough here. This stuff, once it starts to rust like this, even if you heat it, it normally just breaks. You can't get another bend in it. So I was gonna try to make it work at least once or twice. Everything in here seems okay. And you can order the recoil spring as a replacement. But they have ripped the pull start cover off the engine shroud, the tins here. You can see where it pulled through on those two. The bottom one is still intact. So they had new little pieces of steel riveted in there and drilled into the side cover. Although this really isn't that big of a deal. You pop this shroud off, go behind it, and put you some bolts coming from the back with some washers. And you could have put this right back on, but I guess, you know, quick fix, we just self-tap it into it. And I mean, you know, it worked, I guess. But I noticed it had the notch here in this cover, so I took the rope that was in this. Here's a piece of it. I whirled it around there and pulled it a few times, and lo and behold, sprayed a little starting fluid in it. It popped off and ran for a second or so. Did that 2 or 3 times. Fired up every time I pulled it. Didn't sound bad. It smoked a little bit, but this thing had laid on its side, and oil had probably gotten everywhere. I had to take the plug out, spin it over with the drill, and let it blow some of the oil and the water out. But it did run. That's a good sign. This cover piece right here is broken. This is your hydraulic reservoir. It's low, but there's some in it. I've got some of that at home for the skid steer. Don't have any here at work. This tire, I got it back on the bead, but it's leaking back here. There's a big crack in it. Probably tube them. I went to look for shits and giggles. I can get these brand new at Tractor Supply for about 60 bucks. So we might just throw a set of tires on it. But first, hopped on the old Amazon to check on carburetor and a recoil kit. So guess what? They sell the whole recoil, this entire piece, with the spring and the plate and a new pull cord and the carburetor and the spark plug and the air filter and new fuel line, fuel filter, and it was 25 bucks shipped. I don't know how the Chinese are doing it, but $25 shipped to my door for all of that. The recoil alone, if you tried to go to like a Honda dealer, or like a small equipment dealer, this thing that they'd probably want 100 bucks, or at least, you know, probably close to 100 bucks or so for the recoil. And I got everything that I'm gonna need except the fuel tank. So over here, this is what came out of the fuel tank. All of this brown, dusty, rusty shit. And I was like, okay, well, I can totally clean all that out, no big deal. I mean, it looked rough in there. Uh-oh, you see it? Right here at the valve, the light of day. And some of you are already telling me, oh, just JB weld it. And you probably could, although this is so thin. And on top of that, it's got another hole up underneath the edge of this, and that part does not come off. That is part of the tank. There's a couple spots in there. But yeah, this shroud does not come off of the tank. It's all kind of stamped together. So that's a bummer. So you could JB weld it and then clean the inside of the tank out and reseal the inside of the tank with some of that tank seal crap. But I don't think I'm gonna bother. So this tank, it's not the worst, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit around a couple local junkyard places and see if we can't come up with a tank. This is a Honda GX 390, like the 13, 14 horse, whatever it is, Honda motor. And this mounting style looks very similar to a Predator. And I think I've got a fuel tank for a Predator. So we might see if we can do that. Or if we have to just put a whole new gas tank on it from a different machine, I'm sure we could probably rig up some type of fuel tank. I don't want to do it that way. I'd rather put the right one back on it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get this to seal like I want it to, so we'll see. But anyway, there's your update. Parts have been ordered. We're now just on standby. We'll be here in a few days. And yeah, so we'll make a part 2 when all that stuff shows up. I jacked the trencher itself up off the ground and spun it. It does spin. The pulley for it is right here. It's a double groove. Also, I have the parts manual for this machine, or the owner's manual for this machine, but I cannot find a parts manual that tells me belt sizes. If anybody out there in YouTube land knows somebody, or can point me in the direction of somebody, you know, that can tell me what size the belts are for this machine. This is a Ditch Witch brand trencher. It's a 1220, and it's got the Honda motor on it. This machine is from about 1994. So if anybody knows where I could get a, this is the belt, this pulley right here runs up, I think it runs over this one and around this. This runs the hydraulic pump for the gear drive and the piston for the lift for the auger. And then these two right here run across this pulley and down here to this, and this is actually what spins the chain on the trencher, or the auger, whatever you want to call it. So if anybody knows where I can get those parts, please let me know in the comments down below. That would be absolutely awesome. And yeah, so we're gonna throw a timing chain in a Dodge Dakota. I don't know if anybody recognizes that truck. We're gonna fix it up, and I'm still waiting on some parts for my E-Z-GO / Roper brand golf cart. And then Dad's 67 Galaxy is getting a 4-barrel upgrade. So yeah, thanks for watching, folks. We went and picked up a trencher down at the scrap yard. And if you watch the Jeep video, no, that's an old video. I had a lot of people commenting, glad to see you back at the yard. Well, it's not. That's not it. It's, you know, that's done. It's a whole different business now. And yeah, they don't do the scrap stuff like we used to. But the video I just found, I had it on an old camera card, didn't even know I still had it, and I figured I'd just upload it so you guys could get some enjoyment. So no, that kind of junkyard stuff isn't going to come back Not at that location anyway. We're doing our own thing here, slowly building our own junkyard. and yeah, so there you go. Just to clarify, thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for part 2 when all my parts come in. We put this thing together and see if it moves and it runs and all that good stuff. So alrighty, catch you in the next one.